Why poor people stay poor? A coin slips from a man's hand. It rolls across the floor. He watches it disappears beneath an old cupboard. For a few seconds, he doesn't move because that coin is not just money, it's tomorrow's bus fare. Most people believe poverty begins with an empty wallet, but that isn't where it started. Sometimes it begins with a single decision that feels too small to matter, and over time, those tiny decisions quietly shape an entire life. Most people think poor people stay poor because they do not work hard enough. Reality is more complicated. Around the world, millions of people work longer hours than executives, business owners, and investors. Construction workers, factory workers, farmers, delivery drivers. Many work from sunrise to sunset, yet they remain trapped. The problem is not always effort, it's the system surrounding that effort. When every paycheck disappears into food, rent, transport, and bills, there is almost nothing left to save. Without savings, every unexpected expenses becomes a crisis. A broken phone, a medical bill, a missed paycheck. One small problem can erase months of progress. Researchers have noticed something unexpected. Poverty does not always reduce money, changes the way the brain makes decisions. When your mind is constantly worried about paying bills, finding foods, or surviving another week, it has less mental energy for long term planning. Psychologists call this scarcity. The brain becomes focused on today's emergency instead of tomorrow's opportunity. That is not laziness, it's survival. When survival becomes your full time job, planning for the future becomes much harder. Then comes another invisible trap: debt. A small loan becomes a bigger payment. Interest grows. Missed payments creates more fees. The cycle repeats. Instead of money working for the person spends years of working for the debt. The harder they try to escape, the heavier the chain becomes. Education is often called the path out of poverty, and it can be. But education alone is not a guarantee. Two people can earn the same degree. One grows up with financial support, useful connections, and opportunities. The other graduates with debt, family responsibilities, and no safety net. They begins the same race from very different starting lines. Success is not determined by talent alone. Opportunity matters too. There is another force few people notice. People around us quietly shape our future, our habits, our beliefs, our expectations. If everyone around you is struggling to survive, survival becomes normal. If everyone around you is building businesses, investing, or learning new skills, growth becomes normal. Humans copy the behavior they see every day, often without realizing it. But this is not a story about blame. Not everyone who is poor will stay poor, and not everyone who is wealthy earned every advantage alone. Life is influenced by choices, but it is also shaped by circumstance, education, opportunity, health, and luck. The research suggests that lasting change usually happens when knowledge, opportunity, and consistent action came together, not from motivation alone. Perhaps the biggest lesson is this: poverty is rarely a single bad decision. It is usually hundreds of invisible barriers repeated day after day until they begins to feel normal. And once something feels normal, we stop questioning it, because sometimes the greatest prison isn't built from walls. It's built from limits we no longer notice. And the moment we begin to see those invisible limits, the possibility of changing them finally begins.